I want to let people realize that when their kid is struggling in school, what if it's just that they're mineral depleted? And all you would have to do is give them a full spectrum mineral so that their body has what they need to do all the developmental things that they're doing, first in terms of their cognition and their learning, but also just in terms of their tissue development, their bone development.
Today's guest is Caroline Alan, an expert on minerals and the founder of Beam Minerals, the best mineral supplement that I personally take on a daily basis. Buckle up, because this conversation on Humic and Fulvic mineral complexes will blow your mind and expand your understanding of health and how to take your energy, mental clarity, and well-being to the next level. And by the way, we have promo code FITFAMILY10 to check out their products on beamminerals.com, which I highly recommend. Enjoy today's episode.
How could this work so well when so many targeted things that I had tried over the years had not had the impact? And what I recognized is that the beautiful thing about Humic and Fulvic mineral replenishment is that they're replenishers. They're not supplements. They're not just adding stuff into the system. They actually have that full spectrum of minerals that the body needs in the proper ratios, and they also have the delivery system for those minerals.
Hey Fit Mothers, this is your official invitation to come to our first ever conference called Fit Father, Fit Mother Live. Join us in August 2025 for 3 transformational days designed to help you overcome one of life's greatest obstacles, staying consistent and motivated with your health amidst the challenges and busyness of life. At Fit Father, Fit Mother Live, we're bringing together world-class health experts to help you become more focused, more disciplined, and take your results to the next level. Day 1 of the event focuses on mindset and mental health, because as you know, real change starts in your mind. We'll give you proven strategies to reduce stress, unlock greater discipline, motivation, and mental clarity. Day 2 focuses on your physical health and longevity. You'll hear from top doctors and experts on the latest methods to speed up your fat loss, build muscle, enhance your longevity, and balance your hormones. Day 3 is all about the power of community and accountability. You'll make real connections with like-minded fit mothers and fit fathers who will become your friends and support you long after this event ends. And we'll also have dozens of top-tier health companies on-site as vendors, showcasing the latest products, technologies, and innovations to support your health journey. This is so much more than just a conference. This event is your chance to connect with your fellow fit family, to recharge your batteries on an unbelievable wellness vacation, and take your results to the next level. Don't miss out on the best fitness event of 2025. Register now at fitmotherproject.com/2025 to secure your spot today. Caroline Alan, welcome back to the podcast. I am particularly pumped up to have you today because we get to talk about minerals again. Welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Anthony.
So we did a part 1 conversation, and if you haven't heard that, we will link it in places. If you're on our blog or if you're getting this from our newsletter, you'll be able to go check that out, where you can hear about Caroline's story, how she got into minerals in such a deep level. We're going to kind of like really cut to the chase. And my promise for you, the listener, in this conversation is you tune in, you are going to have an insanely expanded understanding of your body and the minerals that interplay with health. And the best kind of minerals that are the most natural and powerful and bioavailable. And I'm so passionate about this. The product that Caroline's company makes at Beam Minerals, the humic and fulvic acids, are a supplement that I take on a daily basis. And there are a few supplements that I take on a daily basis, but this is one. So Caroline, thank you for being here and sharing your wisdom. I just want to kick off with a high level. Like, what are minerals? Can we define these, like the macro minerals and the micro minerals?
Well, here's how I want to frame it for people. If you look around your room, if you look at your body, every piece of structure in the world is minerals. So that's the most kind of macro view of this is every piece of structure is minerals. Minerals are also the fuel for all life on Earth. One of the primary fuels for all life on Earth. Now, the way we think about minerals, if you went to grade school or middle school and you learned about the periodic table, maybe high school, these are all minerals. Well, there are some gases and minerals. Strangely, your body is actually 78% gases and the rest, some in the form of water. and the rest is minerals. So if you took all the water out of your body and the gases, you'd be a little pile of minerals. Now, those minerals are broken up. We call them macro minerals and micronutrients. And those really refer to the amount that your body utilizes on a regular basis. So the macro minerals are the ones that you recognize when you look at an electrolyte supplement, like magnesium, potassium, calcium, sodium. There are other macro minerals that many people haven't heard of, which your body uses a lot of, like chloride or boron. Mm-hmm. These are actually considered macro minerals. But there are a whole bunch of micronutrients that you need in much smaller levels. And it's not like nice to have, like if you don't take your vitamin D supplement today, you're going to be okay. You probably would be fine if you didn't take it for a week. You're not going to notice a difference. But if you don't get your minerals in your body, actually, if you don't have the right minerals in your body available for all of the energy generation and biosynthesis processes, your body will cease to function in a matter of hours. And I can give some examples of that, stories of that, if we want to hear about that. But
yeah, I would. I would. And maybe some of the glands too, that I think are tied to specific minerals, so people can start to hear the buzzwords of different minerals that they might know and how it ties to like a system that they know. Like connection would be really cool.
Well, we can do that. And I'm not saying we shouldn't do that. But the thing that I really want people to understand about these minerals, all these minerals, these macro minerals and these micronutrients, is that they work together. Mm-hmm. And they work together in a very specific balance and ratios in your body. Mm-hmm. So your body uses a lot of magnesium and those macro minerals. The reason they are called macros because your body uses a lot of them, and they uses them for all of these biosynthesis process, for pumping your muscles, for keeping your heart going, mm-hmm. keeping your brain thinking, so many different things. So the reason I don't like to focus and say, for your adrenals, you should be, you need this, or for your hormones, your reproductive hormones, you need this, or, for your thyroid, you need this, is because people come to me and they say, well, as an example, they have low iron. Mm-hmm. So, should they take iron? And I say, well, as an example, if you are low in iron, you actually maybe not metabolizing the iron you're getting because you don't have enough copper in your system. You see? So it's not a direct correlation that we can make. What I really want people to understand is your body is incredibly, miraculously wise in the area of how to utilize minerals in the ways that it needs to fuel all the biosynthesis processes, creating thyroid, creating, thyroxine or whatever mm-hmm. type of thyroid you need, or creating a cortisol, or developing melatonin, mm-hmm. or developing hormones, all of the hormones that people need. So, and more, okay, creating blood and muscle and tissue and bone. Your body is the wisdom and the complexity of it, considering that minerals are the foundational piece of every single one of those operations, mm-hmm. it's phenomenal. And as I've studied and researched and gotten more and more detailed understanding of how this complex web works, what I've realized is there is no really smart person, there's no really smart practitioner, and there's no single product that's lab formulated, and there is no AI. I don't even think AI could figure out what your body needs and what my body needs right now. Mm-hmm. Okay, today, this morning, we woke up and our body needed minerals. It needed all of those macro minerals, and it needed all those micronutrients in certain ratios. How are we going to actually get all of those minerals into our body, considering that they all have to come from the outside? You see?
It's a really deep philosophical point. And, so basically there is innate intelligence in the body, and there is the desire for us to want to target specific things, which does have benefit. People take magnesium supplements, they tend to feel better because they were deficient. Mm-hmm. Like, that's cool. But this is kind of going to be a precursor to the deeper discussion on the minerals that you and I both recommend, the humic and fulvic acids, because they're basically providing all of these building blocks in a harmonious way. So when you give it to the body actually figures out what it needs to do, from providing a wide swath of all of them, instead of just like, oh, here, you need more potassium, take this, you need more magnesium, take this, you need more sodium, take this, which is always a moving target anyways, because this is a deeply dynamic system. So I think that's a really cool point. And I guess my land on there is, I take the humic and fulvic acids that Beam, your company, makes, and we'll talk about that. But I also do sometimes take like a targeted magnesium, because I think there's benefit to that. So there's a dance, but I think way more people are on this more reductionistic thinking. And I love that you've brought us more big picture.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm really trying to bring to the world is, we have been taught to think about our body as pieces and parts.
Yes.
And systems. And I want to have this impact, so I'm going to take this. And I want to, let's say I'm not sleeping well, I'm going to use magnesium because somebody told me magnesium makes me sleep well. Or maybe I struggle with constipation, so it will also help me eliminate, as an example. Or I'm going on to the gym and I'm going to work out really hard. Maybe I should take some potassium and magnesium, some salt-based electrolyte. The thing that I want people to really begin to think about, and this is in my study of my own experience of getting mineral replenished, I was like, how could this work so well when so many targeted, things that I had tried over the years had not had the impact? Mm-hmm. And what I recognized is that the beautiful thing about humic and fulvic mineral replenishment is that they're replenishers. They're not supplements. They're not just adding stuff into the system. They actually have that full spectrum of minerals that the body needs in the proper ratios. And they also have the delivery system for those minerals. Mm-hmm. So rather than, and the ultimate effect is that they support the entire ecosystem of the body. Mm-hmm. So if you think about, what we know about the gut microbiome today, and it's a lot like a forest. When it's really healthy, there's enough nutrients, there's clean water, there's air, fresh air, there's all the nutrients because the plants have grown and they've died and they decompose. There's nutrients in the soil. Now go take a wheelbarrow of magnesium or potassium or any single mineral and throw it on the floor of that forest. And what do you think is going to happen? You see, that's a concentration. And that's equivalent of taking 320 milligrams of magnesium. It's certainly going to have a fairly immediate, a very quick effect, but it's not going to support the thriving of the entire ecosystem. Mm-hmm. What it does is it creates imbalance in the ecosystem, in particular your gut. So even the thing about people using the salt-based electrolytes, the challenge is that your gut is a freshwater system. It's not a saltwater system. That's why when you go to the beach and you swim in the ocean and you get water in your mouth and you swallow it, you end up feeling queasy. I don't know if that ever happened to you when you were a kid.
That certainly has, yeah.
And people who use salt-based electrolytes on a regular basis, the performance athletes that I talk to, they hate them. They trash their stomach. They irritate the lining of the bladder and the kidney. They make you urinate more. And now your gut is trashed and you're urinating more. So you're flushing your system. You're irrigating rather than hydrating. So I'm trying to break down the misunderstandings we have about how to get minerals into our body in a way that's really effective and supportive of the overall ecosystem in our body.
I love that. And I think where I've personally landed is I take the humic and fulvic minerals every morning as a part of like the blanket, get this into the system, allow the body to have its natural intelligence. And I do sometimes still, if there's a lot of sweat loss, do a pinch of some Celtic sea salt or pink Himalayan salt. And I do sometimes take a little magnesium. And my take is that because I have the overall good biocompatible fertilizer of humic and fulvic, then having little, very, very doses of very specific things on top of like a healthy thing is okay. But I think when people don't have the whole fertilizer and soil right, and then they're taking targeted things, they're creating gaps and imbalances. So I love it. And I do agree. And I also am someone that still does some targeting on top of this good baseline.
Well, and so this kind of jumps us into how do humic and fulvic work,
Mm-hmm.
because the fact that you have that foundation of all of the minerals, first of all, creates, so because minerals work in quads and pairs,
Mm-hmm.
so when you put that extra magnesium in your body wants to balance magnesium with potassium and calcium.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you don't have that baseline of mineral support in your system, your
Mm-hmm.
body's going to pull that from somewhere,
Right.
such as your bones. Excuse me, I meant not potassium, I meant phosphorus and calcium. Okay. So magnesium balances with phosphorus and calcium. So since you've already got that, your body goes, oh, great, cool. There's some phosphorus and calcium. Let's balance this out. No problem. And plus, you're using it related to times when you're going to utilize it
Yeah.
at a greater level. And you also have the awareness of your body and how things feel.
Right.
And a lot of people, I was one of them. I didn't really have an awareness of what was going on in my body. I was a hard charging, push person, and I was just depleting and depleting and depleting and pushing through. A lot of us have to do that because our lives, young, particularly mothers,
Mm-hmm.
and families with young children, it's exhausting.
For sure.
You know.
Fundamentally exhausting. Now, before we talk about humic and fulvic, I would love to speak to the health conscious person listening to this who is trying to do a good job with their nutrition. And maybe they've been very focused on higher protein nutrition, lower sugar, have some concept of getting electrolytes, maybe take some magnesium supplement, but they're definitely not on this deep mineral game yet. What are some signs and symptoms that people may have generally of mineral deficiency? Anything from hair, skin, nails, teeth, digestion, energy? Like, what are some of the common things that you hear people say, or that is byproduct of some deeper mineral deficiency?
One of the things I say is so many people have this feeling that something is missing. They eat a big meal, an hour later, they're going to the fridge, they're opening it up, they're going, it's something. I just need something. Okay. And what if that is your cells literally saying, I don't have what I need? And so you've got about 37 trillion to 150 trillion cells in your body, and about 60% of them don't have what they need. And so it causes so many different things. Of course, it causes energy issues. So the crash midday, 2-3 o'clock, when you're like, oh, I need the candy bar or whatever, your body is really searching for something. And what do hungry cells crave? They crave sugar and salt. So guess why all of our junk food is sugars and salts? Okay. Mm-hmm. Because they are speaking to the cells. They were designed by the cells. We need something quick. So that's the first thing, is energy. The second is brain fog. This sense that I can't quite get it together. I can't get my thoughts together. I can't make decisions. I'm really struggling. And this is really prevalent in children now. So I want to let people realize that when their kid is struggling in school, what if it's just that they're mineral depleted? And all you would have to do is give them a full spectrum mineral so that their body has what they need to do all the developmental things that they're doing, first in terms of their cognition and their learning, but also just in terms of their tissue development, their bone development.
And I'll just parent plug, because I know this stuff. I've been giving my daughter humic and fulvic acids in her water bottle almost every day, and she's thriving. She's so bright. And I mean, there's many factors in that, but like, I'm doing it. It's such an easy thing to do. A lot of us think about giving our kids multivitamins, but those are lacking in these deeper minerals. So I want to get into humic and fulvic. Before we do, I think it's important to talk about soil and maybe like our soil today, mineral deficiencies in the soil, but also how that whole concept of where humic and fulvic comes from. We can kind of get to the idea of soil and the cycles that actually create these complexes. Yeah.
Well, first of all, so the reason you can't get enough minerals from the foods you eat is because the soils that they are grown in and even if you're eating meat, if you're more a paleo kind of person, those animals eat grains and things that were grown in soil. Okay. And So when a plant grows in the soil, the way that it creates all of its structure, remember all the structure in the world is minerals, is it pulls those minerals from the soil. So in nature, whether it's a small little fern or a huge cedar tree, all of its structure is made from the minerals that it's pulled from the soil as it's grown. Now, when it dies in nature, it decomposes and all of that mineral content goes back into the soil. But what we do is we cultivate and we grow things in soil, we take it over there and we eat it over there. And those minerals don't get back into the soil. And when we cultivate in the same soil or even grow, even if it's an alfalfa field or it's a grass where cattle are grazing, it's still the same issue. Those plants that are grown in that same soil over and over, year after year, hundreds of years, or in some cases thousands of years, there simply isn't the mineral nutrients in the soil available for the plant. Now, what we've done in our production farming is we've added nitrates and other fertilizers, which increase carbohydrate content, which is why you'll have a huge strawberry or a huge blueberry. It's carbohydrate content. It's not actually nutritional content that's really great for your body and is providing all those nutrients you need. They say that to get the same nutritional value from an apple that your grandfather ate, today you'd have to eat 6 or 7, some people even say 8 or more. Okay, so it's a real issue. To exacerbate this, we're all drinking bottled and filtered water, as we need to, excuse me, because we have to worry. We have to worry about glyphosate or chlorine or fluoride. We want to get that out of our water, but as a result, the issue of mineral depletion is going up, and what's going along right with it, correlated, is a raft of a myriad of chronic health symptoms. The brain fog, the menstruation issues, the ADHD in kids, the diabetes and blood sugar issues,
hormone
the thyroid
deficiencies in
issues,
men, right? Zinc, magnesium, boron, hormone deficiencies in men too. Yeah.
Exactly. Huge. Exactly. So, and testosterone also. So, all of these things are at their foundational level. Your body cannot do what it needs to do if it doesn't have this full spectrum of minerals. So I've spent a lot of time in health food stores in the mineral aisle, and people are buying this pill bottle and this, they've got 5 or 6 pill bottles. And now they're going to go home and try and take that. And most of that ends up in what I call the supplement graveyard, the cupboard filled with pills, because you're like, I don't want to take it anymore,
Yeah. So this cycle, getting back to where we can kind of tee up Humic and Fulvic. No, it's perfect. Yeah. So things grow and then they die, and then they grow and they die. This is how nature works. It works in cycles. And what I love is, this is where health becomes more spiritual for me, is we are also, a microcosm of the macrocosm. Like our cells and our gut bacteria are rising and dying. Our red blood cells have a 120-day cycle. Our mitochondria, 30 to 45 days. Like there's always this recycling of the raw materials that springs into new life. And when this is allowed to happen over many, 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 many years, we ultimately yield these humic and fulvic complexes that help plants grow, but also help humans grow too. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So think about back when cellular life was first being evolved on this planet. And at that time, there were, first of all, lots of concentrations of minerals and substances that were not beneficial to those cellular organisms. And second of all, the mitochondria, which are these energy generating units for nearly all of the energy in your body and in all cellular systems, even a tree, they were inside the cells. So all of the mineral content that were going to fuel, and amino acids that were going to fuel those mitochondria, were outside the cell and they had to get in. So what happened, the way I see it, is that nature had to develop an efficient system for replenishing minerals and nutrients into the cell. And what developed was humic and fulvic. And all plants and animals, even your body already uses some amount, even if you're not taking humic and fulvic yet, you get a little bit of it. Go walk in a forest, you breathe it in, it's everywhere. Okay. So in small amounts, but because we do this cultivation and there's not as much of this in the soil, we don't get enough. Now, where do they come from? Anytime you have the decomposition of freshwater plants, you end up with humic and fulvic. So even in your compost, and people are doing in their backyard garden, they're doing compost tea. And what's actually that they're put water into their compost and they water their plants with that water. And they're actually watering their plants with humic and fulvic. Just so you know, I don't suggest anybody drink that. Not a good idea. Okay. So the humic and fulvic that we use in our products, actually, it's 65 million years ago. So think back when the dinosaurs lived, the earth was covered with rainforests. It was a very warm and balmy climate, and a meteor hit the Yucatan. It killed 75% of all life on earth in a few hours. And all of those rainforests, freshwater plants decomposed, and they became these humic and fulvic substances. And there's shilajit in the Himalayas, there's peat in the British Isles, there's terra preta in South America, and then in North America, there's something called humate and leonardite. And there might be some others in other Asian countries, and I just don't know what those are called. So this substance, it's a black crystalline substance. It's incredibly mineral rich. Like the amount of the crystalline substance that you'd need in a year is less than a cup. So very, very small, and probably way less than that, actually. Okay, I've never really thought about that in detail, but a very, very small amount. So we take that material, which is called humate, and out of it, we extract these molecules called humic and fulvic. And these two molecules carry all the full spectrum of minerals, amazingly designed in the ratios of minerals that your body utilizes. So because they were developed right alongside cellular systems, and just so you know, your cellular systems work just the same as plants. Okay, when it comes right down to the mitochondria and these particular parts of the actions. So these ratios, so there's a lot of magnesium, calcium, potassium, those macro minerals we talked about, but there are also, wow, my sign just fell down. That is really funny. Anyway, so we have all of the other micronutrients that your body needs, all designed in the natural ratios that your body needs. But they also have these other capacities. And I don't know if you want to jump into that yet.
Yeah, I do. Let's keep on going. This is great.
Okay. So this is the coolest thing about humic and fulvic. So let's talk about fulvic. So not only does it carry that full spectrum of minerals in the proper ratios that your body needs, but it is also an extremely effective flavonoid. And a flavonoid is an intercellular transporter. Now, fulvic is unlike any other flavonoid because it does something that no other molecule on Earth can do. It changes its polarity. So what it does is it carries a full spectrum of nutrients into your cell. And the beautiful thing is that your cell recognizes fulvic as a beneficial substance. So people who understand about cell linings, it's a barrier to keep non-beneficial substances out of your cells. And so it's supposed to not let anything in that is non-beneficial. But fulvic, it's like, I know what fulvic is because you evolved next to me since the beginning of time. And so it automatically lets a whole molecule of fulvic, which carries 60 times its weight of nutrients, into the cell. So rather than one magnesium molecule hitting the cell wall and the cell going, oh, great, let's bring that magnesium in, it's bringing a full spectrum of minerals in, okay? Then it gets inside the cell and it changes its polarity. They don't even know how that happens. When you study it, you get into quantum physics and quantum mechanics. But it does. And when it does that, it's like if you've ever seen a magnet that had like a lot of things connected to it, like magnetized to it, and then you were able to turn the magnet off, and those things fall off.
Yeah.
So those things fall off inside the cell where they're available to all the mitochondria in your cell for energy generation. Okay. And for all of those processes that are required. So then now it travels around in the cell and it cleans up. It gathers a biowaste, toxins, heavy metals, nanoplastics, glyphosate, free radicals, viral detritus. It carries, though now the channel opens in the cell, it carries those out of the cell. So it's this phenomenal tool to support cellular life, carrying nutrients in and carrying biowaste and toxins out. Mm-hmm. And if you think about it carrying biowaste and toxins out of your cells are your tissues. They're not your bloodstream, they're your tissues. And that's where toxins are stored when your body doesn't know, and particularly in fat. Your body says, I don't know what to do this, I'm going to store it in these fat cells. Mm-hmm. So it actually takes those toxins out. And then it changes its polarity again and it drops those in the bloodstream. So now those things are available for removal from your body. And now we have the humic molecule. The humic molecule, I like to think of it like a Velcro ball. It's very sticky on the outside, has a huge amount of surface area, one of the strongest electrolyte molecules known to man. It travels through your bloodstream. I call it Mother Nature's janitor, because it literally just constantly, day in and day out, just travels through gathering those same things, biowaste, toxins, heavy metals, extremely effective heavy metal detoxifier or binder. It gathers nanoplastics, spike proteins, glyphosate. It adsorbs glyphosate, so it actually binds to the molecule and then sequesters it so that that molecule can no longer have its effects in your body. At a certain point, this Velcro ball, it gets so heavy because there's so many things clinging to it at a molecular level weight, it falls out of solution and it leaves your body through all of the elimination channels. Now, when you're doing detox protocols, you require certain detox channels to be open, but Humic uses all of those channels, including your tears, your snot, your sweat, your saliva, your breath, your earwax, just rubbing your hands together every time just sloughing off cells, as well as your urine and feces. So incredibly effective, daily, continual detoxifying agent.
And that's massive in today's day and age, because we do live in a industrialized, toxic world, and it's impossible to go down the rabbit hole of complete avoidance. You can certainly clean up your water, use better household products, but like we're getting exposed all the time to stuff. And so having a natural, healthy chelator that's so much more safe than using heavy duty chelators that can actually cause mineral deficiencies. Exactly. This is just a really hidden benefit of this type of protocol that goes far beyond just taking a mineral. You're taking like a functional molecule that does so many things.
I love that word, functional molecule. That's great. I'm going to steal that.
Good. Use it.
And what's beautiful about these substances is if you think about it, these were designed by nature to work in for all cellular systems. All cellular systems on Earth know these tools and utilize them. So they're ecosystem tools. Mm-hmm. So when you're doing a chelation protocol, you're doing a detox protocol, these things are, they're heavy hitters. It's like, and if you think about ecosystems in nature, they thrive on slow, incremental changes that they can adapt to and assimilate and utilize. In nature, if we have big changes, it's an earthquake, right. It's a hurricane, it's a tidal wave. These are not good things for ecosystems.
Mm-hmm. Yes, gradual support and changes, for sure. All right, so what I want to talk to specifically to our fit fathers and fit mothers, most who are over 40 and are looking from a longevity, hormone type standpoint. Mm-hmm. Let's start with the women over 40.
Okay.
Maybe let's assume they're either like peri or post-menopausal. Like how does it change the game to kind of get these in the systems? What are people saying when they take these? How does it directly support our fit mothers?
Well, I specifically want to talk to the mothers because this is what happened to me. So I was already mineral deficient, and then I had 2 sons. And when those babies grew in my body, the way that all of the structure in their body was created was by pulling minerals from my body. When I breastfed, they were all of that mineral content, that incredibly rich content that came through my milk, my mother's milk, came from my body. And since at that time, I had no sense that I was mineral deficient or I wasn't getting enough nutrients from the foods I was eating, I just got deeper and deeper and deeper into depletion to the point where I started losing bone, having bone loss in my teeth. I had inflammation throughout my body, had a whole bunch of chronic issues that my body did not have enough energy to fight, or, it couldn't get a leg up. So I want women who are either pregnant or are have had children to recognize that they need to go into a serious mineral replenishment protocol for their bodies.
I want to pause here for a second because I think the story is even deeper. It's then we have a culture that's like, oh, you gained weight during pregnancy. And then women start literally to diet after the fact, which is typically calorie restriction, pulling back on foods, having less. Okay, so you've scaled back on the macronutrients, you're eating fewer carbs, you've lost weight, but you're actually making the problem worse. And I'm not going to knock like keto diets completely because they have their place for restoring insulin sensitivity, but also doing things like this can cause mineral deficiencies as well. So
yes. And if you're doing keto or you're doing low carb, you have to recognize that your body actually, because that process of ketosis is a diuretic, it makes you lose more water, you lose more minerals. So that's even more so. And that was me too. As soon as I had my children, I wanted to lose weight. And you're right, I started to diet. And then I literally, my brain fog, oh my gosh, and you think it's because your child's not sleeping at night or something. But what if a lot of it is mineral depletion?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what I want to tell people, mothers, is it's so simple. What if all you have to do to feel better, to have the energy maybe to go to the gym or to do something for yourself that's going to be really nourishing, is to get the minerals back into your body, so that it's literally like the light in your body has been turned down. Mm-hmm. And in the case of a mother who's just had a baby or is breastfeeding, it's even lower. They say just people on the street who are maybe not actively pursuing health and wellness, they have maybe about 40% of the minerals in their body that they need. Now ask a woman to have a child, you see, and breastfeed. Now it's even lower. Yeah. So no wonder women aren't feeling well, and they're having postpartum depression and all of these things when they literally don't have what they need. So what I want to tell these women is, yeah, it's actually true. You don't have what you need, but it's actually really simple to start getting what you need.
So powerful.
What an amazing thing.
It really is. And I imagine
if I had only known.
Right. And then we go to we feel bad. So we're like, oh, maybe we need an antidepressant. And then you just stack on, I'm not saying it's indicated in some cases, but we stack on the super complex picture that was actually more fundamentally due to a core deficiency. Even if you're a fit father listening to this and you have a partner, a wife, a daughter around the age, this is important to share this type of information. And this, I'm so passionate about continuing to bring Caroline on and talk about B minerals, because everyone's talking about vitamins. Everyone's talking about protein, carbs, fats, and eating more veggies, but very few people are talking about minerals. This is an area where, even as a guy who's been doing this for decades, I was not serious enough about this until a couple years ago. And so this is why we're talking about this. So I'd love to switch to the guys for a second. Yeah. We have an epidemic right now of low testosterone. It's insane, and it's multifactorial why that is. Mm-hmm. But I certainly know that mineral deficiency is playing a role. In fact, the classic testosterone booster supplements that bodybuilders have been using for a long time are basically zinc magnesium complexes. Now we're adding in boron. People have been using Shilajit, which is literally fulvic acids, right? So
And Humic, yeah.
Yeah, Humic too. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's talk about, for guys who want hormonal health, particularly guys over 40, what's the conversation for them related to Humic and fulvic?
Yeah. So I talk a lot with lots of people who are dealing specifically with hormone balance for men. Okay. And one of the things we always end up talking about is, again, we have been taught to think about something like hormone imbalance in a vacuum. And we're like, okay, we got to solve this hormone imbalance. We're going to try adding this, we're going to add that, we're going to try and balance this out. But again, what I want you to recognize is that your body is an ecosystem, and testosterone, it's true that as you age, hormone production does get lower. Okay. However, one of the reasons that it gets lower is because your whole metabolic function also gets lower. So as you get older, you need more minerals. So actually, let's jump in for a moment. So inside the cells, you have mitochondria. Okay. And let's give a scale of this because people really begin to understand this. So on the back of my hand here, in a single cell, I might have 200 mitochondria in one cell. Wow. In my heart, in a single cell, 5,000 to 8,000 mitochondria. Okay. In my brain, on a single cell in a neuron, up to 2 million mitochondria.
Wow.
So I want people to really begin to understand the scale of how much energy is being generated. And that's just inside a cell. Now we're talking about why are there so many mitochondria in a cell, in a neuron on your brain? Because think about the amazing amount of energy that's required to have me talk and think, and the words are coming out. Already, the amount of energy requirements are unimaginable. The scale of it's unimaginable. It's on the scale of, if you think about how many planets or stars there are in the universe, it's like that kind of scale, only it's inside your body.
It's mind-blowing. And I want to pause for a sec just on a quick comment, because I know you're riffing. I think we have a Western culture that thinks that the solution to energy is to take stimulants.
Yes.
Right? Which is just like, okay, let's put artificial pedal to the metal. Let's give caffeine that blocks sensation of drowsiness, increases sympathetic nervous system tone, which is not actually creating like really deep, true cellular energy. It's just kind of like masking the deeper problems. And this ultimately all leads to burnout. So I just want to say that too, because we're just deconstructing why we're so jacked up in our approach right now.
And we're also doing, so the caffeine depletes potassium. Okay. And then what we do is we get jacked up during the day. And then at the end, we go home at night. I don't, but people do. And they have the beer, they have their wine, and this is also depleting minerals, you see? So what we're doing is we're not getting enough minerals from the foods we eat. And then we're doing things that further deplete the system. Okay. They stimulate the system and they deplete it. And the cells in the body, all those cells are literally freaking out. And then we don't sleep well, right? And we're craving, having all these cravings. And what I'm trying to tell people is, if you begin to shift, it's like I want people to walk around and look from a different angle at the problem. Rather than having a quick impact, how about supporting the whole thing with minerals? I always say to people, give me 2 months. Give me 2 months. Just take these for 2 months. They taste like water. They're really easy. Just take them for 2 months and then see how you feel. And just so you know, like we have such an incredible return customer rate. I'm not selling people. I'm telling this so they understand how effective they are. Most supplement kind of things have like a 10% return customer rate.
I get it. I mean, I take it every single morning. I have the Humic and the Fulvic, two different products. They both have Humic and Fulvic, but in different concentrations. You pour them in some water. In fact, I put my daughter on the counter and she enjoys the ritual of pouring them out into the thing. We take
it's kind of fun
together. It's super fun.
Yeah. So for the men specifically, when we're thinking about the ecosystem, yes, you can take testosterone and the ways you take it, that, and sure you talk about that in other ways, but there are challenges. And then there's also kind of what we're going to call detox pathways related to glutathione and things like that, and B vitamins and methylation. There's all these issues, and all of them are ecosystem issues. They're all ecosystem issues, all biosynthesis processes. Every single biosynthesis process in your body requires one or multiple minerals to complete the action. And if you don't have the minerals available, both the energy production overall in your body is going to be dimmed down, and those biosynthesis processes aren't going to have what they need. So it's a double whammy. But the beautiful thing is, if you support minerals, this foundational level, everything has a better chance of working.
Dang.
Yeah.
So cool. Here's a kind of random popcorn style question that just came to my mind. If someone's doing fasting protocols, is it okay to take Humic and Fulvic during that time? It seemed like it actually could be a good idea if the cells are detoxing to a certain extent and it doesn't have any impact on obviously insulin or metabolic parameters. Is it fine to take Humic and Fulvic if someone's doing a 24-hour fast?
I'm telling you, the best thing you can do for your body while you're fasting, no doubt, is to take Fulvic and Humic minerals.
Cool.
They don't break a fast. They have actually trace amounts of amino acids, but it's not enough to break a fast. When your body goes into those autophagy processes, first, the ketosis and then the autophagy processes, there's a lot happening. Mm-hmm. There's a lot happening. Your body is still doing actually different kinds of biosynthesis process.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Go on. Sorry.
No, it's good. It's just it. I mean, there's just as much as happening in the breakdown and the removal of damaged stuff. That is exactly what we talked about earlier with the function of the Humic and Fulvic, moving things in and out of cells, binding things up, providing energy in a way that doesn't require calorie input. And that's just a small anecdote I'll say. As I've gotten more serious about my micronutrition, especially Humic and Fulvic, but also really making sure I'm getting like all of my functional Bs from foods, I need less food volume and I have more energy than ever. And that's a really cool place to be. It's very freeing. Like, I'm not constantly bloated or digesting food. I have tons of energy. Athletic performance is high. Mental clarity is high, and I'm eating less.
Isn't that, and drinking less water also? I mean, that's the other thing. It makes the water that you drink more bioavailable. And that's really important for the women to think about. So, you've given birth, you want to lose weight. You want to eat less calories, but you want to get more nutrition from what you're eating. So what you need in your body is Fulvic, because Fulvic, actually Humic and Fulvic, work together in this way. The other thing that Humic does is it interacts with the cell wall, and it increases cell wall permeability. So it opens more channels in the cell. So it's like if you're in a room right now and you have one door and one window, so much can go in and out. But if you had 6 doors and 6 windows, a lot more could go in and out more efficiently. Mm-hmm. So that's what Humic does in conjunction with Fulvic to increase the bioavailability. So, when you're using that magnesium once in a while, the beautiful thing is you're not just putting it in and most of it going out. It's actually more of it is getting assimilated into the cells because you have a system that's fully replenished with the Humic and Fulvic.
Awesome. Now, I do want to ask you specifically about magnesium, because I know there's a lot of people who are taking magnesium supplements who legitimately feel it's helped them in some way, shape, or form, cardiovascularly, sleep, mood. I do take a magnesium L-threonate in a liposomal format, and I think it's beneficial. Like, I'm getting that magnesium into the brain, and obviously there's ATP benefits of all that. If one were to only take B minerals, and knowing that, in my opinion, I like to tell people to get around 600 milligrams of magnesium a day, like more than like RDA, because I roll like that. If they're trying to get more magnesium, is it sufficient just to take bean? Or is it still a good idea to obviously prioritize magnesium rich foods, but take a mag supplement? Can those two play together?
Well, let me talk about this. And I really want, because I always like to teach people to fish. Okay. And what I want people to recognize is that, your body is very different than my body. Mm-hmm. Your lifestyle is very different than my lifestyle. Your eating style has different, your DNA and your epigenetics, the way your DNA expresses is different.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really wanting to people to begin to experiment with their own body. Okay. If you're a performance athlete and you work out hard 3-4 times a week, you're going to need more magnesium.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does that mean you need to take a magnesium supplement? From my perspective, not necessarily. You could just take more beam minerals.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say you have experimented with your body and you recognize that when you take this magnesium, it works for you. You recognize the benefit. I'm not against that. I do think it would be useful for you to consider going and getting what we call, it's an oligoscan.
Mm-hmm.
So an oligoscan is a way of testing for minerals that's not via the blood. You don't want to test for minerals with blood tests because that only tells you what's ambient in your system, what you've eaten and has been absorbed in the last 72 hours. What you want to know is actually what your tissues are, what's actually getting into your cells with your tissues. An oligoscan uses spectrophotometry. It shines a light into 4 places on your palm, and it returns data about the levels of minerals in your cells, of all of the beneficial minerals, the electrolytes, the heavy metals, as well as vitamin levels. So now what it would actually tell you, Anthony, is, do I actually have any kind of deficiency in magnesium?
Mm-hmm.
You see, you'd actually be able to understand, or do I have another? You might have a totally different deficiency. So what I say to people is, generally speaking, beam minerals support, like the fulvic and humic, supports overall mineral balance in the body. Depending on your genetics, your epigenetics, your lifestyle, your eating style, you might be prone to specific deficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
Also, whether you have parasites or you have candida, things like this that affect the gut microbiome and the way that things are absorbed, or whether you have SIBO or IBS, different things like that. Okay. So, but generally speaking, they support overall balance. Now, if you want to consider using a mineral on a regular basis, I recommend trying to find out, where are my deficiencies in my tissues?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to ask yourself, if I'm deficient in magnesium or iron or something, what else is there some other imbalance that's causing that deficiency, or some other situation in my body that's causing that deficiency, making it, as an example, certain heavy metals will take the same receptor sites as beneficial minerals. Mm-hmm. So you don't absorb the beneficial minerals because those receptor sites are taken by the heavy metals. So you would want to lower your heavy metal load so that then you would start absorbing. And these are things that take months to change, mm-hmm. not a week. You see, these are things that over 8-9 months, suddenly you do a test again and you're like, wow, everything's really, really balanced now. We've shown that many, many times. So, but let's specifically talk about magnesium. So a lot of women in particular are using, and women in perimenopause, menopause, or postmenopause are using magnesium for sleep. Mm-hmm. Now, the challenge with that, as I said, is that when you put magnesium, a large amount of magnesium measured in milligrams, into your gut, your body says there's a concentration here and I need to balance this with other minerals, and particularly phosphorus and calcium. And it actually pulls those from other locations in your body, such as your bones. I'll give you an example of this. So we had a trainer of elite triathletes come to me, and he's like, I'm struggling with my older athletes who are starting to develop osteopenia and osteoporosis. Why is that? And I explained to him this thing. So these guys have used huge amounts of magnesium, potassium, the big 4 electrolytes, and their body is constantly trying to balance that. And it's pulling those ultimately from the bones. Now, particularly for women, which bone health is one of the key elements that you have to deal with as you get older and your hormonal balance changes, you don't want to create an imbalance in your body that's pulling minerals from your bones. And so what I say to people is, if you know that magnesium works for you that way, doesn't always work for everyone. if it works for you that way, okay, use it once in a while, but don't use it daily. Don't get hooked on using magnesium for sleep. Or let's say you're a person who tends towards constipation. People use magnesium to support their elimination. I'm telling you, Humic, if you take MicroBoost, our Humic product, over several months, the elimination issues will disappear. I used to have lots of challenges with constipation. And even when I travel, no matter what, things just go like clockwork.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think this is another plug too for getting B minerals, but also focusing on mineral rich foods, because foods that have all these plant foods that have minerals typically have a concert of them. It's not like every food that has magnesium is also going to have calcium, but this is where like nutrition comes into play, and you have like a well-balanced diet of, non-processed natural foods. You end up getting a concert of minerals that gives you replenishment without imbalance, because it's coming in a concert. I think that's like the probably underlying theme here is we're getting things that are harmonious, working together in natural systems, and kind of coming from these beautiful plant-based sources.
Yeah, food as medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sadly, we just can't get all the minerals that we need from our food. So let's go to the next best method, which is a natural-based product, which is actually the source of the food that you're eating started with minerals too in soil.
Love it.
Yeah.
And so this has been amazing. And if someone's inspired to take on your challenge of trying this for 2 months, you can head to Beam Minerals, BEAM minerals.com. And we have our promo code FitFamily10, which is great because you get a discount. And Caroline also knows that you came from us and our community, which always makes them happy. And just such a huge fan of this work. I know at some point in the future, you will have a very popular, hopefully best-selling book on minerals coming out. And when that happens, we would love to have you back to talk about this and to get the book out into our communities. I want to thank everyone for listening today. Caroline, I want to thank you for your time and your wisdom and for helping my life in a substantial way by really making this in the forefront of my understanding. That's something that I can't say to too many people, but you really have impacted my life and my health through this. So I'm grateful.
Anthony, thank you so much. And it's truly an honor to have our product at the center of the health of your entire family. I love that.
Thanks so much, Caroline. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey there, my friend. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Fit Mother Project podcast. If you love what you heard, I have a favor to ask you. Please consider taking 60 seconds right now to leave us a rating and review on our podcast. Leaving us a review is super quick. It only takes a minute, and it's so helpful to us as it really boosts this podcast to reach more people who need this information and this message. If you're listening on Apple Podcast, you can leave us a star rating and review. If you're watching on YouTube, you can hit the like button and leave us a comment. Overall, I truly appreciate you being with us here on the podcast. On behalf of me and my entire Fit Mother Project team, we truly feel honored and grateful to support you and your family on your journey to fantastic health. I thank you for your support of this podcast and of this mission. Also, if you're interested in joining our Complete Fit Mother program and becoming an official member of our community, you can visit our website, fitmotherproject.com. And on the Fit Mother site, you'll be able to see our Complete Fit Mother program, along with our online store with the best supplements designed for busy moms. And you'll also find a ton of free resources like recipes, workouts, meal plans, and more. God bless you and your family. This is Dr. Anthony Balduzzi signing off. I'll catch you on the next episodes of the Fit Mother Project podcast.